I can show you the world. You've got a friend in me. Wish I could be part of your world. What can I say except you're welcome? Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to dive into the wonderful world of Disney and talk about the wonderful and overwhelming, sometimes pervasive impact that Disney has had and will continue to have on our lives growing up, on our children's lives, and to infinity and beyond, right? So, welcome to this week's rendition of the DILF Show. This is Andy Christopher, aka the dad I listen to frequently, here to talk to you about Disney. It's an interesting one just because Disney's everywhere. Disney has been everywhere at pretty much every single turn in our lives. And I can tell you good and, not so good experiences in terms of, not just movies, but Disneyland itself. And we're just going to dive into it and talk about, how it how it affected our upbringing, what it could mean for our kids and, things like that moving forward. But I'm also going to share with you the hotly contested Andy Christopher DILF top 5 Disney movies, in my opinion, of all time. I'll share them throughout the course of the show. Technically, it's a top 6. I couldn't really narrow it down at the number 5 spot. So, and one of them I didn't even realize until upon further review that it was a Disney film. But last year we took Arlo to Disneyland. We wanted to. He was obsessed with Cars, the movie. Cars, spoiler alert, not in my top 5. Just letting you know. It's okay. It's fine. Cars 2 is definitely in the bottom tier for me, but Cars 3 is not bad. It's a good series. It's a wholesome series. But Arlo's obsessed with Cars. McQueen, Mater, Miss Sally, Sheriff, Mac, the whole gang. Pit Stop, Luigi, everyone, right? And so we wanted to show him in California Adventure the Cars Land. We'd never really been there as adults. We kind of dabbled into it when we lived in Anaheim, and we had an okay experience there. But first things first, so many people complain about how expensive Disneyland is. And I think automatically with parents, it's like this taboo topic. I mean, yes, a vacation to Disneyland where you're paying for 5 people airfare, 5 tickets for multiple days, multiple hotel rooms, crazy expensive. But any vacation is going to be expensive, right? But once we got there, we got a hotel just outside the park. It wasn't crazy expensive. It wasn't unsafe. It was right next to like the Bubblegum Shrimp area and all those restaurants. It was nice enough, but it was the only one that had 2 rooms at that point, or 2 different beds and a closing door. And we wanted Arlo to have his own space with his pack in place. So it was perfect for us. So once you get there, the actual tickets themselves and everything within the park isn't crazy expensive. With anything, if something's too expensive, don't buy it. Don't do it, right? Or budget and plan well ahead of time so that when you get there, you can do it right. When we walked into the park, we saw so many stressed out parents and so many people just freaking out about how you've got to get to all these rides and do all these things, and freaking out at concession stands because it's so, expensive, and kids are screaming and they're hopped up on sugar and this and that and this and that. But we thoroughly enjoyed, we were there for 2 days. We took our time between California Adventure and Disneyland, and it wasn't insane. Like I'm not sure if just prices of everything else have gone up so much that we've just kind of gotten used to it, but it was manageable for what I thought we were getting. And there's insane production value at Disneyland itself, the fireworks, the entertainment. Every single employee is on point when it comes to making magic happen is their slogan. And going between the two parks, I mean, I don't know. I didn't think it was insanely expensive once you actually got there. But yeah, vacation itself, totally, it is something that you need to plan and budget for. But we took him to Cars Land, and at first he was just so astonished. Like, how on earth are we in the movie that I've been seeing? But this is real life. I'm really here. It's like when you meet your heroes, and he didn't really know how to react or what to do. And then he started hearing a song from, I think it was Shaboom from the original Cars. He heard that come on, and he's just like, oh my God, like I'm here, I'm here. And from that point on, we didn't have an agenda, and he proceeded to spend about the next 2 hours just going in and out of gift shops, looking at Cars toys, looking at paraphernalia, and just being amazed at what was around him. He was only about 2 at that point. He didn't really want to ride the rides. We tried to ride the one Mater ride where it's like, you go in circles with the cows, and it was whippy and way too fast, scared the hell out of him. He cried the entire 2-minute ride or however long it was. And then as soon as it stopped, he just was like crying through tears, like, again. It was really, really wonderful. But, we got ice cream. We enjoyed, he crushed a churro, just absolutely destroyed it. And, the impact and it was during Halloween time. So everything was dolled up in like a Halloween garb and kind of scary stuff. And the characters had costumes on. So he got to see McQueen, he got to see Cruz Ramirez from Cars 3, and he was just blown away at what was going on. And that to me is the value and the incredible and profound impact that Disney can have on someone so young. I mean, he'll come in, and he went through that Cars phase, and he started watching the new Lightyear. He got into Toy Story, has enjoyed watching Moana and different Disney/Pixar movies, and they're awesome. Like, all these movies are awesome, and it really got me thinking and going back into all the movies that my sister and I used to watch growing up. We were massively into Fantasia, Beauty and the Beast, Alice in Wonderland, Aladdin, Lion King, Little Mermaid. I'm trying to think, like, Aristocrats, was that? I got to pull up my list and make sure that the Aristocats was, I can't remember what it is. I believe that was one of them. But we were Nightmare Before Christmas, Oliver and Company. Like, these are just absolute gems, just lightning bolt movies. Fox and the Hound, oh my goodness. And yeah, there it is, the Aristocats. And so we used to watch these pretty much nonstop when we were growing up. And oh man, really underrated one, a Goofy movie. If you've never seen a Goofy movie, it's really sneaky good. Powerline is one of the greater singing characters in any in any Disney film, just letting you know. Oh man, Hercules, all these just absolute great films. And we'd watch these movies and we loved them. And my sister and I used to put on skits of these movies. We'd do Aladdin and Lion King, and we'd sing the orchestrated parts, and it was a thing, right? And it just, all the the trips that we took to Disneyland with our parents, it is this unbelievably timeless experience that is almost a rite of passage for having children, and a way to not only have a vacation that you have to look forward to, but it becomes this iconic location that is quoted when people win the Super Bowl, right? It's bigger than just the movies they put out. Don't get me wrong, any company is going to have their skeletons in the closet and dark underbelly of how they got there, how they got started, and this and that. And Disney has not been immune to that by any stretch of the imagination. But when you walk into that amusement park and you look around, and your child has just lit up beyond belief, and it is, I remember him getting to meet Goofy and like petting him on the nose, and makes me want to tear up thinking about it. It is something that is really special, and Disney has done a really great job at not only protecting their brand, but building it and extending it past what I'm sure they even thought was possible. And they've really taken their, we make magic happen slogan to heart, because they continue to evolve, and they continue to put out new movies, and they make changes to the park to stay up with the times. And it's it's really something that I'm glad we went and took Arlo there, when we did, because it reinvigorated myself and Julia, just kind of our love and affinity for not only amusement parks, but just something to look forward to in that regard. And um, we also took the photos when we didn't know whether we were having a boy or a girl. We took photos in front of the castle, and we bought these little brother and sister things, and we got that out there to kind of to spread the word. And it's special. It's something that's so cool. And the impact that these movies had on my upbringing, I guarantee you, were a massively positive one. It gave my sister and I this outlet that was ours, something that nobody really fully understood, I think, at that point, and something that we loved to present and show and entertain people with. And even today, I'll still, you know me, I speak in movie quotes almost exclusively, and I'll still bring out the gems from the Disney era. Absolutely. And, the other day we threw on Lion King for Arlo, the original one. And I'm like, damn, this movie holds up. This is so good. And I love that Arlo has had, his Cars phase, and there is just something so inviting when the movie's starting, and you've got the castle coming up, and the music chiming in, and something so cool about it, right? So it would be foolish to just kind of dismiss how important and how cool of an impact that Disneyland, however you want to phrase it, the Disney universe has had in our lives, and what it's going to look like moving forward. But it got me thinking about, what are my own favorite movies. So I'll hit you with the first one, which is kind of 5A and 5B. So in the bottom of the top 5, I couldn't decide between Up and, I didn't realize this. Did you know this was a Disney movie? Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Up is one of the bigger tear jerkers that really hit at an impactful time in my life. And I go back to that movie and I cry now at different times, at different spots of the movie. Everyone looks at the intro as, the real tear jerker part. And that was something that was so, I don't know, it's kind of progressive in terms of just showing life and showing all parts of it in a children's movie. And of course, everyone cried during that part. If you have had or have a significant other, I mean, devastating, right? But when they're going through the movie, and to me, the part that gets me way more choked up is the part where he finds the book, and he's kind of given up hope at the top of Paradise Falls, and he finds the photo book, and he's going through it, and it stops on the last photo of his wife, and then the page kind of slips a little bit, and then he sees another photo. I'm going to tear up just talking about it. And he flips it, and he realizes that the wife has been maintaining the scrapbook as this is the adventure. This is life happening, and this is all I could have ever hoped for, is my life with you. And then he gets to the end, and it has the note, thank you. Oh my God, seriously crying. Thank you for, what you've given me. Thank you for the adventure. Now go continue yours, or go have yours. Holy shit. And, with Julia in my life, I think of all the adventures we have. And that one gets me. That one hits home in terms of what a cool and powerful movie on a lot of fronts. There's actually a conspiracy theory, or like a fan fiction theory, that the lead character, the grumpy man, has actually passed away in his sleep when before the retirement home people come to take him, and everything from that point on becomes like heaven or a dream world or whatever you want to call it. Draw your own conclusions, but go rewatch the movie and check it out, and let me know for yourself. Who Framed Roger Rabbit came out in 1989, and holy crap, what a next level movie to come out at that point in time. Bob Hoskins is the lead in that one, and obviously, you've got a ton of tunes and everything carrying throughout, but I didn't realize that was a Disney movie. And I will be perfectly honest, I had nightmares about Christopher Lloyd's character, the crazy dagger-eyed tune. I legitimately was scared of those parts in the movie when I used to watch it, because it was frightening. The guy's like high-pitched voice, and he's got all this craziness and madness and chaos in his voice and what he's saying. But I watched that movie a lot, and I loved every part of it. I loved the cars in it, and I loved the little tune car that they drove that spoke to them. Oh man, what a wonderful flick at that point in time. So those are kind of those are the bottom. We'll get to the top 4 after this. But looking at the kind of the evolution of what this is going to, Arlo, he's now really starting to dance and sing, and we'll put on something like the Moana soundtrack, and he'll get zoned in on one of the songs, whether it's You're Welcome or How Far I'll Go, and he'll just want to hear it on repeat. And it has led to some of my most fondest memories of his early toddlerhood is just us dancing and singing and laughing in our living room here to some of the music that's going on. And I'm telling you, there are these times when he does not want to listen to any other song. He here's one, and then he's just like, again. And I'm sure your kids will do that too. Just go with it, because they're having so much fun experiencing the emotions and the different parts of the song. Don't worry about how many times you've heard it on repeat or anything like that. It is absolute gold when you see the look on their faces and their reactions. And I have this image of him and Julia dancing, and I think it's How Far I'll Go, when there's kind of the down tempo part, and then Arlo will actually say out loud, because we started saying, and he'll say, big finish, and then there's this massive crescendo, and he is just chanting and throwing his arms up and spinning, and it is so wonderful to experience that growth in them, that you don't want to miss it, but B, it's just so cool that there is this universal thing out there that really connects all children. And you walk into daycare, and he sees someone that's wearing a Lightning McQueen shirt, and he walks up, McQueen. It instantly just creates a friendship and a bond and a connection that it wouldn't have been there if they would have wore a different shirt on that particular day. And then they can laugh and joke and share and run and tell their little toddler jokes to each other. And it's so cool to see. And it's all because of this unifying Disney aspect. And so I think that, when it comes to showing your kids movies and TV and things like that, we've already touched on that in early episodes, but don't be afraid to just show it in doses and let them have little fixes, because Disney's not going anywhere anytime soon. And I guarantee you they're going to find a way to continue to get better. Pixar just continues to put out gem after gem after gem. And I'm astonished when, kind of like, I refused to watch Breaking Bad at first, because everyone just kept pubbing it up and talking about how great it was. How it was the best show ever. And I'm like, this is just chemistry teacher making meth. Oh, that's stupid. Whatever. Of course, my affinity towards Breaking Bad. I think it's the best piece of television that's probably ever been created. But every time Pixar comes out with a new film, I'm always skeptical. And you've got some of the newer ones. Let's see what we got here. Pulled up all of them just to, you've got earlier ones, Finding Nemo, Wall-E, Ratatouille. These are staples, right? Some of those middle ones, this might be an unpopular opinion. I actually think that Finding Dory is superior to Finding Nemo. Just saying. Go back and rewatch them both and tell me that Finding Dory is not the better film for it, not just being a sequel, but I think it's just a better film overall. I'm a big proponent of Incredibles. Toy Story somehow. Every time a new Toy Story came out, I'm just like, what are you doing? You are just going to tarnish the brand here. And somehow they just keep out kicking themselves and keep crushing the previous film. I don't know how they do it. All those Toy Stories are great. Obviously the new Lightyear. I haven't seen Onward, haven't seen Soul, have heard nothing but tremendous things about them. And they continue to find ways to connect and to stay connected to the adults that grew up with it while still maintaining that accessibility to new children. That is unbelievable in terms of how they're able to continue to find the context and the content that resonates. It's tremendous. And that leads me into number 4 on my top 5, which is Inside Out. Inside Out, if you haven't seen it, I've considered this as like the number 1 spot before because it's so freaking good. It's so smart and way more involved than almost any other Disney film, a lot of other regular films I've seen. And the way they play on the psyche of the mind, as a 12 to 13-year-old might think, tremendous writing, witty banter, and clever jokes. And Pixar has the way of tugging on the heartstrings, and this one is another one where it gets you right in the feels too. And if you haven't seen it, when Joy and Bing Bong are down in like the not the pit of despair, that's Princess Bride, but when they're down in the uncatalogued thought, and they're trying to get out, and Bing Bong makes the ultimate sacrifice. If that doesn't make you tear up, I remember, like, I know every single time what's going to happen in these movies. And I was eating some cereal at the house here in Reno, watching Arlo watch it, and I just started bawling. I'm like, holy crap, how does Pixar always do this? It's tremendous. But go back and rewatch Inside Out, because it's so funny and so clever in terms of how they address the thought process and how we grow and evolve and how everything has to work together to function properly. It's tremendous. So, I'm obviously a huge fan of all these films, and kind of going back to the earlier ones. You've got Snow White, Pinocchio. I mean, Bambi was another one that it's kind of like Up, where it was really progressive in terms of how it showed the full scope of life. Lion King was another one for the mid 90s. But any guesses on when Bambi was created? 1942. Jeez, that is a long time ago. And oh my goodness, Mary Poppins, 101 Dalmatians, these are just absolute lightning bolts. And I so fondly look back on all my memories with these films, and what it could be for Arlo moving forward. I know that when I was younger, my parents always tried to get me to watch older films that were their favorites. Some of them struck a chord, others just right over my head, right? I'll also tell you that when I was about 8, I was encouraged / forced to watch Stephen King's It on film, and proceeded to have nightmares about Pennywise the clown until I was about 24, 25 years old. So I was like watching the movie on my right shoulder, and my eyes were just bug-eyed at what the hell was happening to me. Psychological thriller to say the least. And then every time I fell asleep on my right shoulder, I'd have a nightmare about Pennywise trying to get me. So I think that's why I still sleep on my left shoulder, come to think of it. And it's one of those things that just probably a little bit too soon, but I know that these Disney films, I'm going to want to show Arlo every step of the way as he's getting older. And my family and I still have a borderline tradition whenever we get together where we watch Aladdin at Christmas time. I mean, I just have all of these wonderful small moments with family and friends and these films, and I just can't wait to show Arlo the earlier ones and baby girl the earlier ones in hopes that some of these will resonate with them at different points in their lives. And you don't just want to make it all about Disneyland. I think it's easy to do that, and then maybe it loses its luster a little bit. I think it has to be based off of the content within the productions, and that's how when kids use their own memories and they're able to put their own creative talents to mind, that's when you really get something that resonates and sticks for the long haul. And going back to, I'd mentioned this earlier, but hitting on number 3 in my top 5, we just showed it to Arlo, and this one just flat out holds up, and that is The Lion King. The Lion King is number 3 on my list. And I look back at all the little shows that my sister and I did when I was Zazu and she was Simba, kind of doing the Just Can't Wait to Be King. We tried to throw Be Prepared in there every once in a while when we were feeling kind of like dark and emo. Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Just these iconic tracks from this particular album. But then the film itself is just, it's wonderful and progressive as well. Rafiki is one of the funnier side characters in any Disney film. And I appreciate him more as I get older because it's just so clever and he's just so wise. And it's because he's so matter of fact and so truthful and honest. It's so great. But I know for a fact, because Julia has corroborated this, and I've heard this many places, but Jonathan Taylor Thomas was the teen heartthrob of the era. And people have had like attractions to young Simba himself because of JTT. And fun little fact about me, but I actually met Jonathan Taylor Thomas when we were playing some random flag football match against a rival high school nearby called Oaks Christian. And his brother was on the team, and he just came out, and he was just a dude. At that point, he was probably in his 20s, and super nice. Very, very. He wore these like hologram kind of glasses, and didn't want to bug him too much, but just seemed like a nice guy. When I told Julia that I'd met Jonathan Taylor Thomas, like her panties dropped. She's like, "You met Simba?" I can't believe you didn't tell me about this. And so I gained cool points through that interaction. And The Lion King itself is something that I really want Arlo to be able to sit through and experience. Right now, it's probably just, it's older, so it's a bit more noir than the Cars film, so to speak, of the current day. But even looking at other Pixar films, I was skeptical of Encanto, and Encanto is great. We've listened to the Encanto soundtrack plenty, and Arlo loves that one on road trips as well. And are you starting to see a theme here? Like Arlo is only 2.5 right now, and there are all these different like ways and kind of tentacles that Disney possesses in like these wonderful outlets to kind of weave itself into the fabric of early childhood and for for parenthood as well. And I think it's cool because it's common ground already. When your kids are growing up, you I played football, and yeah, I've tossed a football to Arlo, and he's caught it and he's thrown a ball back, and he loves doing that. Right now, he's actually really obsessed with this little Velcro sticky game that we just brought out of the woodwork, and it's awesome to see him light up. But I don't care if he wants to throw the football or the baseball or basketball right now, even though that's one of my interests. But Disney is common ground no matter what age group you're talking to. You could be speaking to grandma, and she knows the Disney movies and kind of what's going on. And he could also speak to his 10-year-old cousins, Jake and Finn, and talk to them about Disney. He could talk to us about Disney. Like, how cool of a product have they created that all of us can just have these shared experiences right out of the gate and be able to connect with one another at such an old, middle, young age. I don't know. That's something that's really special to me. So number 2 on the DILF's top 5 Disney movie list, Toy Story 2. Now, I love the original Toy Story. I love Toy Story 3. I love Toy Story 4. All of them have tremendous, sticky parts of them that just resonate with me. Toy Story 2 cover to cover is probably when I feel like they hit their stride, and they weren't rounding out or closing down, I think actually now Toy Story 5 is coming out, and automatically I'm like, how are they going to beat Toy Story 4? How are they going to beat that ending? Right. And so to me, cover to cover, Toy Story 2 is just kind of the most complete film. It's got the right balance of, out there, outlandish stuff happening to these toys that's still supremely entertaining, introducing new characters that turn out to be long-standing characters. I think it's Jesse and Bullseye, and that whole group. It's right up there with Toy Story to me, but I just think it's a slightly more complete and, aesthetically more pleasing film. It's just got a cooler storyline. You learn a little bit more about Woody. Big fan of Toy Story 2. So that's number 2 on my list. Before getting to number 1, I just wanted to reiterate and ask, share with me your thoughts on the world of Disney, or funny trip memories if you've gone there with your kids, and they've had meltdowns, or they've had these incredible epiphanies and these just lighting up moments. What do you got? What's happened to you in the world of Disney? Or what's your favorite Disney film? Share with me either in the comments, share with me via email. Everything's pretty much at the DILF show, or thedilfshow@gmail.com. You really can't miss it as long as you're searching properly. Hopefully we all know how to at this point. You never know, but let me know what's your top your top 5, or your favorite film of all time. What's the one that you watched over and over and over again, or what helped shape you in your young adulthood? So we've gotten to the final number 1 film on my list, and I've already mentioned it here. You could probably guess if you know my pedigree, or you've known me for a few years. My number 1 Disney film of all time is, without a doubt, Aladdin. I do love the remake, by the way. I don't think that it was tarnished at all. Aladdin 2, did you know there was an Aladdin 3? Forgettable. Not big fans of them. They just kind of didn't really know where to go with it. But the original Aladdin has been so much fodder for jokes, for, Robin Williams in that movie is brilliant in his delivery and timing. And my family and I have joked about and quoted Aladdin so much throughout the course of our time together, that I just have only fond memories of this. I remember wanting to be like Aladdin. Fun fact: the voice of Aladdin was actually the voice of Steve from Full House. You remember DJ's boyfriend there? There's a real deep cut into the 90s. So when I think of this movie, when I think of all the jokes and all the awesomeness that have come from it. I I have so much gratitude towards it. But one of my long-standing memories is lip sync middle school, 8th grade. All right. My friend Steve Toon and I decided to sing A Whole New World in front of, the lunch crowd, whoever would listen. But of course, it felt like we were playing at Wembley, or we're playing at some massive arena, right? There were easily 100,000 people there. And my mom let me borrow this carpet. So we actually were standing on a carpet. He was Aladdin, I was Jasmine, and I wore this like blue thing. I wore my shorts under it. It looked so stupid, but whatever. I was 13. I can't remember how old I was. And we'd practice just the morning of. We're just like, whatever. We'll kind of hodgepodge it. We were both pretty improv-y people and just kind of off the cuff, shoot from the hip anyways. So we just decided to go for it. But we were going up against the creme de la creme, the talent of Lindero Middle School in terms of the cool kids. I think it was Braden, Jack, Danny. I think there was one more person in their group, and they were singing LFO Summer Girls, right? And we knew that we probably had no shot because they're the cool kids. They're the popular ones who everyone liked and everyone wanted to vote for, and they were singing a boy band song. Oh man, we're screwed here, right? So the only thing that Steve and I kind of tried to coordinate was, in the song A Whole New World, when Jasmine is, when they're dipping down in the movie, and the lyric goes, "Don't you dare close your eyes." Before that, I was gonna put my hands over my eyes, and then Steve was gonna come up behind me and open them up. That was like the only thing we coordinated in the entire production, and we absolutely just nailed the performance, crushed it out of the park. Home run, touchdown, whatever cliche you want to throw it. Everyone was like laughing and cheering and chanting and just blown away by the performance itself. And we ended up tying with a perfect score for the LFO crew. And we walked to our 5th period class like we had just won Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, or just won, some big sports championship. We were so proud of ourselves for what had just transpired. And I think back at, that was I'd played sports in my life, but that was one of the first times I'd ever truly performed where it wasn't some choreographed thing with a big group of people, or like a spelling bee or something like that. It was an actual performance. And we wouldn't have been able to do it without the world of Disney. There is no way that Steve and I would have gotten together and tried to sing something else, some other song, at that point in time in our lives. We just clicked and thought it was the right and funniest thing to do. That was the big thing, was that, well, this is going to be hilarious. And without the impact of Aladdin, without all these wonderful catalog of songs to pick from between that and probably the other, Disney songs, who knows where I would be today without that fundamental experience. I remember my whole body was tingling with nerves, and you just get into those moments and you feel almost outside of your body going through these experiences. And I think too, what's little man going to experience when he's on display like that, if he chooses to be, and what's he going to feel? I don't think any performer is ever not nervous about some situation like that, but that was like this huge Band-Aid ripoff for me in terms of who I was and kind of my own personality and my own humor coming through. And I loved every second, every nerve-wracking second of doing that performance. So Steve Toon, big props to you, my friend. Miss you, love you, buddy. Hope all is well. Thank you for doing that performance together, because it was a game changer in my life. So recap of the top 5/top 6. Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Up were tied at 5. Inside Out at 4, Lion King at 3, Toy Story 2, appropriately at 2, and Aladdin, my number 1 Disney film of all time. What movies did I miss? What did I miss in talking about Disney and how cool it is for our kids? Drop me a line, drop me a comment, shoot me a DM, whatever's easiest for you at the DILF Show on all our socials. I love you, and there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. Go have a great one, everybody.